Well, tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats have found a new boogeyman outside of Donald Trump. So who is this new boogeyman they all speaking about in unison? It is the governor of Texas, my governor, Greg Abbott. Now, we're going to first show Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago. He has came out going in on Governor Greg Abbott about what's happening in Chicago, and he's laying the blame on him. So we want to get into that. We'll also get into sister girl Jasmine Crockett, since she's the new spokesperson for the Democrats. It's sad that Kamala isn't the spokesperson for the Democrats. She is the vice president, but you're going to send out Jasmine Crockett to do something that Kamala should be doing as a vice president, and let you know they have no faith in Kamala. But we'll get into her as well, but we're going to get into also what they're not saying. So let's go ahead on and hear what Brandon Johnson has to say.
They're showing up sick. Do you hear me? They're showing up sick. The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago, it's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country. The sensibility and the civility of our country, he is undermining that.
That is, y'all favorite mayor, Brandon Johnson. So let me get this straight, Brandon Johnson. Greg Abbott is attacking the country. So he is an enemy to America. Now, we're not going to talk about how you, sir, and your alderman block the citizens of Chicago from voting if they want their city a sanctuary city status. So, Brandon Johnson, let's go ahead and just re-educate you a little bit. How did Operation Lone Star happen? Operation Lone Star is a program that was created by the Department of Public Safety here in Texas, and they gave about $4 billion to this particular Operation Lone Star. Now, Operation Lone Star came because for a while, when Biden got in office, Greg Abbott kept calling him and said, hey, we got all these people showing up at the border. We don't have the resources to take in all these people. For months and months and months and months and months, Greg Abbott called the president of the United States, which he has the Homeland Security, he has ICE, he has Customs, he has all of that, Border Patrol. He kept calling Biden. Biden did nothing. Biden said nothing. For decades, Texas has been one of the states that migrants come to, and they a lot of times stay in the border towns, or they come up here to the Houston area, Dallas, San Antonio. They kind of do float around, right? For decades, it's been a migrant crisis in Texas. Greg Abbott said this: okay, since Biden won't do what he's supposed to do, no problem. What we're going to do is we're going to bus these migrants to sanctuary cities, who has a policy of saying that they're not going to turn in people who come to this country illegally. So what Greg Abbott in the state of Texas decided to do, Brandon Johnson, was to send buses of migrants to sanctuary cities like Chicago, sanctuary cities like New York City, sanctuary cities like Los Angeles, California, sanctuary cities like San Francisco. He sent them to D.C. He sent them to Denver. He's been sending them everywhere because these cities have sanctuary city policies. Texas is not a sanctuary state. Even Illinois say they're a sanctuary state, right? So he's sending them to a sanctuary city, Chicago. And even though the residents that live there say they don't want their city to be a sanctuary city no more, Brandon Johnson, you speak out both sides of your mouth. Because if you really cared about the city of Chicago, if you really cared about even the migrants themselves, you claim you don't have the resources for them. So to help the migrants themselves, you would end sanctuary city status, say, hey, we don't have the funds for you. We don't have the facilities for you. You need to go over there and talk to the president and holler at him because I'm not here to take care of you. No. And Brandon Johnson, not one time did you say anything about Biden. Have y'all noticed that? He says nothing about Biden. It is Biden's responsibility to secure the border. That's his responsibility. It's not Greg Abbott's responsibility to secure the border or any governor along that border. It is the president's job. We didn't have these issues and problems during the Trump administration. We didn't really have those issues and problems. But when Biden got in here, it was a free-for-all. It was an open border. And now you want to complain. What are you complaining for when you just blocked the residents from voting? Now, I was just watching a video on TikTok, and Oregon actually got a great provision in their, constitution where the citizens could put up, different, they want to do laws or different amendments, et cetera, on the ballot, and they can't block them from doing it. That should be all over the country, not just Oregon, but all over the country. That is anti-democracy when a city council can block the citizens from voting on something they want in their city, their state. That is not democracy. That's authoritarianism that you claim that all of you are against. Now, let's talk about Operation Lone Star for a minute when it comes to Biden. Operation Lone Star has been going on for a while. Let me ask you a question. How come Biden has not instructing his Department of Justice to file lawsuits and stop Greg Abbott? Have you ever wondered that? Why the whole time that Biden has not done anything to stop Greg Abbott doing what he's doing? Because the moment he did Operation Lone Star, he could have filed lawsuits and stopped him right then and there with the Department of Justice. And Biden hasn't done anything. So Brandon Johnson, once again, you're complaining on Greg Abbott, but you didn't say why Biden didn't stop him the moment he got started. Why is Biden continuing to let him and not say nothing with the DOJ? Why isn't he saying anything about him shipping to these people all over the place? Why? He could have stopped it a long time ago. Because you know why he's not saying anything about Greg Abbott? Because Biden is okay with what Greg Abbott is doing. That's why he's silent. And that's why he's not giving y'all no resources. Eric Adams went over there 11 times, he said, and he haven't got a single resource. Because Biden is okay with what's happening. He's okay with what's going on the border. He's okay with it. He's okay with Abbott because he's not doing nothing about it, sir. He's not doing a thing. Now, ask yourself that question, Brandon Johnson, or anybody else who's just around. How come Biden hasn't put a stop to it? He could have stopped it very easily. He stops everything else when he doesn't like it, right? So Greg Abbott is actually doing what Biden really wants him to do. And then politically, he didn't do it, but he can say, oh, look at Greg Abbott. Look how horrible he is. Look what he's doing with the migrants. While we have an open border policy, letting them in, but Greg Abbott's the bad guy. Shouldn't be Biden the guy be stopping them from coming in? And then Biden was talking about the wall and Trump's so horrible. Then now Biden's building the wall. And then he want to say, well, there was some money appropriated for the wall and I can't interfere with that. Really? We really was supposed to believe that? You had no problem with the wall. You just want to run off at the mouth to get votes and make people think that you was against Trump about the wall. Because listen to Biden over the years, he has more racist thoughts than Trump could ever have. Seriously, over the years. He's the author of the 1994 crime bill. He's the one wanted black folks put in jail no matter what. He wanted black folks in jail 85% of their sentence and made sure in that crime bill that billions and billions and billions of dollars was going to the states to incentivize them to build more jails and to hold black folks longer. That 1994 crime bill that Biden helped author instituted recent mass incarceration of black Americans who was going through what people call today a health crisis with being addicted. That was Biden did that, not Trump. So, Brandon Johnson, you're not going to blame Biden. At least Eric Adams I respect him that much. Well, he's pointing at Biden. At least I respect him on that. I told you, I respect Eric Adams saying that. And that's why Biden's angry at him. That's why. He's very angry at him. And you see what's happening to Eric Adams right now too, right? Now, let's go it on, and we're going to come back to Brandon Johnson because it's all part of it. Let's go to Sister Girl Jasmine Crockett is running off at the mouth. She's talking about Greg Abbott. Okay, fine. But I want y'all to hear what she has to say about the new law in Texas, SB4, that was just signed into law that gives Texas law enforcement the ability to arrest illegal immigrants and have them deported from the state of Texas. I want you to hear what she says about SB4. Let's roll that.
Look at somebody like Greg Abbott, my governor, and his solution. His solution is to basically say, hey, we're going to kill people that are trying to come in. Like, that's not a solution. Like, the Republicans don't have the solutions. They want to continue to defund the aid that is going, not the aid, but they're continuing to defund border security. Well, I mean, who's going to sign up for this job and you're not paying worth anything, or a court system that doesn't have the resources that they need?
So as you heard Sister Girl Jasmine Crockett, she says that Greg Abbott wants to, and I quote, kill migrants. This is what she said. Now, if you don't know anything about what happened with that law, what brought it up, you're like, oh my God, a sitting governor is trying to do this to people? Lord Jesus, what kind of tyrant is Greg Abbott? See, she's using the same old Democrat fear-mongering politics that's based on lies. It's based on lies completely. Now, they're complaining because Greg Abbott had put razor wire at the border. They put these buoys in the on the Rio Grande trying to come into Texas. And these buoys got like some sort of like razor in the middle of them and all of that. They say that a few people have lost their lives trying to cross and got caught up in those buoys and all of that, right? But if you come to America and go through the legal channels, go to the right immigration, have a visa to come, you don't go through all that. You have air conditioner, you have snacks if you need it. You have nice immigration people to welcome you to the United States. You don't cross no razor wire at all. Because even when you come back from a trip, like I just came back from a trip, I have to go through immigration coming back into my own country, which is kind of ridiculous. But I got to go through immigration coming back into my own country. And I'm a citizen of the United States. Now, of course, I go to global entry. I went to global entry the other Sunday, went to global entry, took my picture, me and my wife went up to the counter. They said, oh, okay, where y'all coming from? We say we came back from Costa Rica. Well, what y'all brought? With you. Brought it in, asking questions and all of that. And they say, okay, all right, you good. Say, see you later. But we're questioned coming back into our own country as American citizens, which I don't think we should be questioned. Personally, I don't think we should. But that is the law. So if I come back into my own country and have to go through immigration, and guess what? When I went through immigration, there was no razor wire. There was no buoys. There was no dogs. There was no nothing. It was just myself, my wife, and the immigration people. That's it. So you come in that way, whether you're at Bush and Continental, Hobby, Airport here in Houston, whether you in Dallas going through their immigration, San Antonio, wherever airport you land in this state that has immigration, you are going to have a comfortable experience. So the people that's trying to come in is not going through those channels. They're trying to go through a channel that's not legal. Now they're saying they're trying to file asylum. Well, you being poor and not having a job is not for you to have asylum. You know what I'm saying? That's for wars. Last time I checked, there's no wars in Latin America right now. Open wars, right? Mass, what's going on? Like, for instance, what's happening on the other side of the world with Israel and Palestine. Now, if those people were close by and they tried to come, okay, that would be considered asylum. If you're not dealing with that kind of situation, then it's not asylum, bruh. Well, I'm getting persecuted. But you pass up so many Latin American countries and you couldn't file asylum? It doesn't make sense. There's plenty Latin America. Matter of fact, once again, I just come back from Costa Rica. Peaceful country, peaceful people. No issues, no problem. They're literally passing up, the Venezuelans and all of them passing up Costa Rica, which is peaceful, don't have no problems, no issues. They passing up Costa Rica. I'm not saying all of them should go to Costa Rica. I won't put Costa Ricans getting on me. But what I'm saying is you're literally passing up many Latin America. Panama is another country, peaceful country, right? You're passing up all these countries to come to the United States. It's not about safety. It's about you purposely coming up here because you want free stuff. Then let me play, because Sister Girl Jasmine lied. So Greg Abbott wants to just take the life of migrants, okay? Let me play what he said SB4 is about.
Biden's deliberate inaction has left Texas to fend for itself. The goal of Senate Bill 4 is to stop the tidal wave of illegal entry into Texas. It creates a criminal offense for illegal entry into Texas from a foreign nation. For repeat offenders, it creates the offense of illegal reentry with a potential prison sentence term of up to 20 years.
So did you just hear how Jasmine Crockett lied? Did you hear him say anything about that law is going to take the life of any migrant? That law, according to what they're saying, right, is basically you come into the country illegally, so they're getting at you. Now, let's talk about Black Americans. We cannot break the laws of the United States. Any law, any ordinance, anything, Black Americans are jailed. We are jailed even when we're innocent. And Jasmine Crockett, if you would sit up there and defend Black folk, but the only thing that you're doing, because you're the new shield, you're just a new face and new shield, right? Jasmine Crockett is up here trying to get you to vote Democrat. She says she's riding with Biden, right? I don't know if y'all saw the Breakfast Club interview that she recently done. Even though Charlemagne, I had to give it to him, he was pressing her pretty hard about, man, maybe y'all should get another Democrat to run. But no, she's with the agenda, with Biden. She's with it. They sent her out there, as I said earlier. So this woman literally lied on MSNBC on Greg Abbott. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, if you don't like Greg Abbott, no problem with me. If you don't like Republicans, definitely no problem with me. But don't get on national TV talking to an audience and straight lie like that. Come on now. That woman should not be taken seriously after hearing that. You don't lie on people. And she knows exactly what SB4 is. She's in the state of Texas. She knows. She knows nowhere in that bill says you catch them, you take their life. It's nowhere in that. Now, could it be struck down? Possibly, because immigration is under the federal law and not state law. But I think they knew that. I think they want to take it all the way up to the Supreme Court and see if they can have more of a chance of it possibly sticking with a very conservative Supreme Court. So I think they did this in anticipation of it going to the Supreme Court, because they're going to fight anything that goes through. And immediately they already filed a lawsuit against this law. The law don't supposed to take effect until March of 2024. But Brandon Johnson, Jasmine Crockett are not laying the blame with their boss, Biden. You understand? Brandon Johnson Everything else is Abbott, and not Biden. Democrats, let me tell y'all something. Y'all, the lying, the shifting of blame, all of that, that's not going to work anymore. That's not going to work because we all see you and we see you in real time. See, unlike Jasmine Crockett, I won't lie on her. I'll play what she said. You understand? I won't say she said something and she didn't say it. I'll play it. If Greg Abbott says something, I'll play what he said because you need to know exactly what he said. Brandon Johnson, I don't want to lie on him. I want to play exactly what he said. And on top of that, he's saying that migrants are coming over and they're sick, some of them. So if during the pandemic, we shut down the border, we shut it down. Countries throughout the world shut their borders down. Well, since we already had a global pandemic, we don't know, since you're admitting, and New York said the same thing, that they're dealing with tuberculosis and all kind of other different sicknesses that's coming in that way. How do you know you may not have a major outbreak of something in New York City or Chicago? Brandon Johnson is saying that they're sick. He's saying it. So shouldn't you be telling Biden, hey, maybe we need to get the CDC involved in this too and find out what's going on with the health of the people coming in? But he's not going to do that. He's going to continue to say Greg Abbott, and not Biden. And this is why Democrats will lose. Because you're not honest with people. See, at one point in time, Democrats, you could have lied to us. You could have lied and got away with it. And for years, you were getting away with a lot of the lying, right? But today, we have a way to play your words back. We have a way to research in real time. And the lies you used to tell and you can get away with back in the days where it was just ABC, NBC, and CBS don't work anymore. You live in the age of knowledge. And that's what's frustrating a lot of the Democrats is because of the age of knowledge. They mad at TikTok, a lot of them. It's not TikTok, it's not the problem. You're mad that people are getting information in real time like this on TikTok and you don't like it. You don't like people is organizing boycotts, like the big boycott they organized against Starbucks. Starbucks, you know, they lean left wing and Starbucks lost $12 billion. And a lot of that information got spread to even boycott Starbucks through TikTok. So these lawmakers try to put in laws so you can't boycott Israel or something like that. I'm like, well, how are they going to force you to spend money with a corporation? You can't force nobody to spend their money. There's no laws to enforce that. You can't force anybody. So what's happening with Starbucks right now, that's a fear of corporations that people will boycott their behinds. And I've been saying a long time ago, if you really want to hurt these corporations, you boycott them. Like Dr. King showed us a long time ago, economic boycotts is what get their attention. You could call them names. You could say they discriminatory. You can say whatever. Until you bring, like Dr. King say, economic pain, they're not going to hear you. See, Starbucks, they're going to cave. If people keep up this boycott and they lost $12 billion, they're going to cave and say, hey, whatever y'all want, we're going to do. And trust me, if Starbucks will cave like that eventually, because if y'all keep it up, they will. It's going to send a shockwave, and all these corporations is going to follow suit and cave. The people don't realize you have more power. These politicians don't have power like that. They have power when you don't flex economic boycotts, flex your muscles on either sitting it out or voting for a particular candidate to get people out. Like Brandon Johnson, he should, like I said, I can't vote in Chicago at all, but you better believe if I had to be, living in Chicago, you better believe I'll be voting him out. As a matter of fact, all them aldermen that voted against the people voting about sanctuary city status on the ballot, all of them, they will be voted out because that's anti-democracy. That is concerning. That is real concerning. And you go into a very dark place in America when you don't have democracy, right? But they want to sit up there and call Trump the fascist. They're saying Trump going to destroy democracy when Brandon Johnson and those aldermen, who are to all the Democrats, have literally destroyed democracy in Chicago. But you want to blame Greg Abbott? Greg Abbott didn't destroy democracy in Chicago, did he? Did he, Brandon Johnson? You got the nerve, Brandon Johnson, talking about Greg Abbott when you're actively preventing democracy in Chicago. Y'all need to get Brandon Johnson straight and tell him, Greg Abbott, like I said, this is bad. What's going on? Don't get me wrong. And we got to deal with the migrant crisis. But Brandon Johnson, you crossed the line with that. You really crossed the line. All those aldermen that voted for that and agreed with that, that's crossing the line. Because the next step is you're not going to have no rights. That's the next step. These Democrats are desperate. They're so desperate right now because y'all have waken up to a lot of lies. You've waken up to the authoritarianism. You've woke up about, how they're not for democracy like they claim they are. They never bring nothing to you as a people to say, hey, let's put this on the ballot like they do in Oregon. Let's put this on the ballot. Let the people vote for it. Once again, if the people decide that they want a sanctuary city and it passes, then, hey, that's what they want. And it can stay enshrined in stone. I would agree with that because that's what the people wanted. But I guarantee you, if you put sanctuary city status in New York right now on a ballot, I guarantee you to fail. If you do it in places like LA and all these cities, put it on the ballot. Let's see if the people want it. If they want it, hey, I got nothing to say. That's what you want. Don't complain. But it's not right to not give the people a right to have a voice in a so-called democracy. And that's, to me, more concerning. That's very, very concerning than anything else that Greg Abbott is doing right now. Because all he said was, hey, if you're not a sanctuary city no more, I'm not going to send them to you. But you're fighting to stay a sanctuary city. But this is what the Democrats are on. They're real desperate. Anti-democracy, straight lying. I mean, come on. Then I just heard what happened in Colorado. They trying to take Trump off the ballot. Now that's going to go to the Supreme Court. It goes to the Supreme Court. They're going to put Trump right back on that ballot because they said that he caused an insurrection, talking about the 14th Amendment. I'm like, Trump wasn't convicted of anything related. Trump wasn't even at the Capitol. How are you going to say he was a part of it and he wasn't even in the Capitol? He didn't lead them. He didn't do anything. He was at the White House. So that's probably what they're going to go on if they're Supreme Court. I don't see him not, because if they do that with him, then that also go down a dark path for America. The voters should decide if they want Trump on that as their representative. The voters. You don't circumvent democracy. And that's, once again, circumventing democracy. These Democrats. That's something y'all need to really pay attention to. Now, do he need Colorado to win the election? No, but it's not the issue by him needing Colorado to win the election. It's the issue of you're circumventing democracy. You're circumventing the voices of the people. These politicians, these judges, that's not right. The people got to have a voice. Once again, they're trying to go down the route of authoritarianism. Y'all pay attention to these things that's happening right now in this country. This is way bigger than Donald Trump. Donald Trump, if he get elected, he's only going to do 4 years and he's done. He's done. There won't be no more Trump. That's it. He's done. But if they use courts to try to block him and not letting the people say if they want Trump or not, then what else are they capable of? What are other rights or other candidates they may not like they want to block? That's something people should be thinking about. The Democrats are really doing some things, y'all. And they say that Trump is the one that's going to be taking away democracy. You really see who the